One of the most enduring memories of growing up in my mother's household is hearing my mother play the piano. She played beautifully, although, like most musicians, she always seemed at least a little frustrated that she was not playing as well as she felt she should. The composition which most overwhelmingly defines those memories is Do Arabesque by Claude Debussy. One of his early works, composed in his 20s, it is a two-movement piece for piano that began to define his revolutionary musical genre of Impressionism. It is the piece that she played for her college recital and music that she continued to enjoy playing throughout her life. You're listening to it now. Music was an important part of my mother's life, a joy that she passed on to me. She was a music major at Ohio University, an elementary music teacher early in her life, and the pianist at the church of her youth. She brought that music into her experience of being a mother, seeing that our house was filled with music and accompanying my sisters and I when we would audition for the school musicals. And so in her last days, we filled her room with the music we knew she loved. They say that the sense of smell is the sense that most triggers the memory. But as I sat by her bedside listening to the music, and particularly Do Arabesque, it occurred to me that certainly familiar music also triggers memories. My mother began to struggle with her memory during her final years. But I'd like to believe that this music in her hospital room was stirring fond memories for her of the life she so fully lived. And it made me wonder, what was it that she was remembering? Perhaps she was remembering the fun of her youth with her brother Raymond and sister Anita as they grew up in Eaton, Ohio under the loving care of her parents Gordon and Lucille Dunlop. Perhaps she was remembering the many family reunions she organized throughout her entire life. Or maybe she was remembering her time at Ohio University, where she had received a scholarship after receiving honors at Eaton High School. At OU, she was a sorority sister at Sigma Alpha Lambda. But since she got married when she still had 2 years left in college, she was not permitted to live on campus anymore because, they said, married women know things that single girls should not know. Perhaps she was remembering when, as a music teacher at a school in Georgia where my father was stationed in the Air Force, she got in quite a bit of trouble with the parents there by having the students perform the Battle Hymn of the Republic. She thought it was a religious song. But in the 1950s, the folks in Georgia objected to a Yankee teaching their children Yankee songs instead of Dixie. Or maybe she was remembering the time my sister Linda wanted to go skydiving with her friends her freshman year of college. Being the only one who was not yet 18, Linda was 17 years and 11 months at the time, she needed my mother's signature for permission. When Linda asked, Mom said, "No, I'm not signing for your death. Wait a month and you can go kill yourself." She might have been remembering the time when I was about 10 years old that she beat me and one of my neighborhood buddies in a basketball game of horse. After showing us what she was made of, she refused to ever play us again, so she would forever have bragging rights. Perhaps she was remembering her unique talent for colorful embellishment, like when she would tell the story that upon learning that my sister Kathy wanted to work for the family business, my father was so happy he did cartwheels down the hall. He was certainly thrilled, but I'm pretty sure my dad couldn't do cartwheels down that hallway. Perhaps she was remembering all the jobs she did in the Fogg business, beginning with doing whatever needed to be done, from answering phones, making appointments, typing, and helping to design the company's iconic logo, to later being its advertising and graphic art manager, all while raising 3 children. Or maybe she was remembering that she was so good in her role of selling the company's used cars that she once sold an old Impala for top dollar, even though it could only be driven in reverse. She might have been remembering her active role in the Arabian horse business, investing and working with her sister Anita, following their passion for those beautiful horses. Perhaps she was remembering all the work she did on various charitable boards, such as Cleveland Christian Home, the Christian Church Disciples of Christ, Ohio Women's Fellowship, and Christian Theological Seminary, as well as so many others. Maybe she was remembering her ritual of always wearing a special piece of jewelry, a necklace, a pin, a brooch, always picking out something special for that day, remembering who she would see that day, and who had given her a certain piece so she could wear it when seeing them. Perhaps she was remembering her love of nature, particularly the birds at her bird feeders and the deer that often roamed her yard. I'll bet she was remembering the many nights she spent in front of the television rooting for her beloved Cavaliers, and especially her favorite player, the very handsome Kevin Love. One of the few big smiles we got out of Mom while she was in the hospital was when she was told that Kevin Love had just re-signed with the Cavs. And I'm sure she was remembering so many fond memories of the true light of her life, her granddaughter, Marissa. Starting with piano lessons she gave Marissa as soon as she could reach the keyboard, and continuing with getting her wheelchair rolled right to the sideline of Independence High School football field so she could watch Marissa being featured, twirling her batons in front of her marching band. And the pride she had that Marissa is to begin studies at The Ohio State University to become an occupational therapist so she could work with special needs children. I sincerely hope the music my mother heard in her final days helped her to remember this wonderful life she had lived. When I was little, I asked my mom what do arabesque meant. She just told her young son, it means 2 dances. I looked up the translation of do arabesque recently. It actually translates into simply 2 arabesque. An arabesque is that classic dance position a ballerina takes, extending one leg from the body at a 90-degree angle, with her arms and hands beautifully extended the other direction. As I listen to this magical piano piece, I think of my mother. And I like to think that she is now free of her painful arthritis and troubling dementia. And she's playing her piano, giving heavenly ballerinas the accompaniment to perform their dances of joy. Play do arabesque, Mom. Play do arabesque.